Zhang Wei Li is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, good to be with you. Friday, January 31st. Check 1 2 1 2. My mic is fucking hot, kid. How the hell are you doing? By the way, January, low-key underrated month. I like the month of January. February, not so much. How about you?
Did it go by fast for you, or was it slow?
Too fast. We're already in the second month of the year already, kid.
Interesting. Well, up by you, I got to mention some of the fights that we won't be talking about that will be taking place. CFFC 139 be on UFC Fight Pass tomorrow. And then Octagon 66, I was going to give you a little piece of caveat. I was going to cover that for 10 seconds left, but there were two fighters. Yeah, two fighters who tested positive for PEDs on the card, and they were both the main and co-main event, both the challengers. So I guess, they must have some good champions over in Octagon, because I guess they're making the challengers need to juice up to at least compete. But yeah, I'm going to switch it up. We're going to cover BKFC.
Let's go. And that's right up here. Go up I-95 a little bit towards Mohegan Sun up in Connecticut.
How you doing?
Beautiful state. All right, kid, we got a huge, absolutely loaded fucking show for you on a Friday. Get you ready for this big weekend to start off. Not the best month of February. We got UFC Saudi Arabia, early start time. Main card starts at 9 a.m. here on the East Coast. Main card starts at 12. I said main card twice. Prelims, you know what I meant. Starts at 9 a.m. Then we got the huge boxing fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell. They're going to meet in Las Vegas, 8 o'clock on Saturday. Weird, surprising action on a Sunday night card in Flint, Michigan. We got for undisputed heavyweight gold, Clarissa Shields taking on Danielle Perkins. That's going to be a hell of a fight, the GWOAT. And then we will end it in the WWE, in the Lucas Oil Stadium. We are on the road to WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble will have picks for the men's Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble, the undisputed WWE Championship between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. We also got a WWE Tag Team Championship fight as well. And then, like Joe said, we will end it in BKFC up in Mohegan Sun tomorrow evening. But, Joe, let's go down south, I-95. We were going up. Now let's go a little south towards our fans in Philly. Knuckle Mania last weekend. What a fight for Jeremy Stephens. I thought he handled everything perfectly last week to the press conference. Everyone coming at him, everybody in Philly, Joe Pyfer, all the Philly boys coming at him, just looking fucking stoic, not talking, not doing anything, and then when he did talk, he said, I'm going to break his fucking jaw and see him in the morgue. And that is exactly what he did. What a night for Jeremy Stephens, breaking Eddie Alvarez's jaw, betting on himself. And I'm happy for Jeremy Stephens, man. A lot of people say BKFC is like these offcasts or these people that can't make it in the UFC. No, I just think they found their lane. Just the same thing with with Mike Perry. He really found a home at BKFC. And what a gamble he made on himself. You and I are betting, man. He only had one fight left on his contract. And how he sets himself up for a huge payday. He said it after the fight, give me the money or show me the money. I mean, tough one on Eddie's side real quick. Tough night for Eddie in front of his family and friends. He's a legend in the game, the Underground King, what he's been able to accomplish. But between me and you, Joe, we're not in the business of retiring fighters, but I really don't want to see Eddie out there anymore. He's getting hurt. Dave Feldman, he did come out and say, he's going to be involved on the business aspect, but we really don't want to see him in fights anymore. So really don't want to see Eddie out there anymore. Tough one. He did break his jaw. He had surgery on it, but the night belongs to Jeremy Stephens.
Yeah, Eddie will always be a fighter. Like you said, we're not in the business of retiring people, but it just comes to a point where you're just taking too much damage. And he had to sell the card too, we were going to speak on WWE. He may have knew that he had a tough fight on his hands with Jeremy Stephens. You talked about some guys finding their home in BKFC. I think he explained it, Jeremy Stephens, is that just some of their weapons, some of these athletes, some of these fighters' weapons just work out better in different sports. We saw it in comparison with Rebellis to Spain. He's over there in Karate Combat living it up now.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to worry about takedowns. So yeah, Jeremy Stevens just was bred for BKFCs, kind of like Mike Perry. They're the way they use their hands, the toughness that they had, but the lack of the takedown defense at times, and sometimes the IQ when it came to the mixed martial arts, incorporating the clinch and the various weapons. Now just being able to be tough and be able to, tense up when they're loading up for shots. It's a different ball game, BKFC. So yeah, Jeremy Stevens may have found his home. May also have another huge fight with Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
They had their face off with one another. It's like, it's meant to be. It's not like coincidence. We had them brewing their track at the beginning of Conor's kind of journey to, his stardom. Yeah, who the fuck is that guy? Rings a bell, and that's
legendary.
What Jeremy has been riding off of. He's everything that they've been saying against Jeremy Stevens. He's honestly used it as fuel to add to his legacy. He's making everything that's going against him. He's turning it as motivation, and he's proven his worth every time. And he's a valuable asset for BKFC now because he has the Conor fight on the table. And even if that doesn't go through because of the wild card that Conor is, he's going to have plenty of fights. And, he could work his way up to say it's a little bit of bigger weight class, but a King of Violence fight or a title fight in his weight class. I think the sky's the limit for Jeremy Stevens and BKFC. And shout out for Eddie Alvarez, giving him the platform to, be the star that he possibly can be now. I think Jeremy Stevens is going to be one of the faces of BKFC.
100%. He really found his home. I think he sets himself up for a really nice payday and a big fight between Mike Perry, Conor McGregor, maybe down the line. I know Conor, set the date, Dave. Set the date. He's fucking crazy.
He's like, I want to fight Jeremy Stevens. Yeah. He told Dave to go out there.
It seems like, real quick, to touch on Conor, it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong or if you see something different, it seems like he has more of an appetite to fight BKFC than the UFC.
It's also seeming that these promotions are becoming a little less restrictive on their contracts. They're seeing the pitfalls of a restrictive contract because we want these fighters, they're independent contractors, should be able to compete at grappling tournaments and maybe if they want to fight bare knuckle, but also be able to fight mixed martial arts or boxing. Look who we're going to talk about later, Clarissa Shields, who's doing both mixed martial arts and boxing. So I think we should have more of that. We should have fighters be able to have the freedom to move on different styles of fights, see if they're better at kickboxing or Muay Thai than they may be at mixed martial arts. So yeah, let's keep the options open for these fighters.
But what a night for Jeremy Stevens. I mean, betting on himself, he didn't have a contract and now setting up just one payday and gambling on himself. He was in the draft for GFL while fighting Eddie Alvarez and said, you know what, forget this. Now the price just went up. Arguably and rightfully so. So really happy for him. And he said it. He was on the Ariel Helwani show this week, and he goes, when Eddie Alvarez, and you got to give credit to Eddie, without him, they don't sell 18,000 at Wells Fargo.
Absolutely.
So he is I understand why Eddie got the bag for this fight, but when it's the saying, the hungry dog wants it more and they run faster sometimes. And he's been starving. And like you said, you don't got to worry about a takedown when this guy was just built to fight bare knuckle. Some of these guys, a guy who's going to be fighting soon. Dan Hooker's another guy I feel like that could retire in BKFC. He's a guy that just, I feel like would thrive. Not saying he doesn't thrive in the UFC, but I don't know. I felt like, obviously you watched Jeremy Stevens, his career a little more than me. Do you think he was always an underrated? Because I think from my point of view and vantage point, he's always been a very undervalued or underdog 155er.
I guess to other fighters, but I think Dana White knew the worth he was as a fighter in the featherweight division, because there was one time in the early part of his career that he was thrown in jail and Dana White personally went out to bail him out. Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah.
There's countless stories of that. Yeah, I would say he's underrated. I think you got to look at the record book as well. I do think Jeremy Stevens may own a record for most knockouts in the featherweight division or something akin to that. You know what I mean? So
one of the hardest knockouts in featherweight history, Josh Emmett, he knocked him out.
Exactly. So, I mean, you got to earn your stripes. And he was a guy that set a level for that 145-pound division. But now he doesn't have to cut that much weight, which is another bonus. He could fight at the lightweight division in BKFC, keep his, water retention high and not have to worry about, taking shots and he's got a chin. We talked about it. Yeah. But it seems like I said, with that durability, the toughness, and being at a heavier weight, He's going to have more force behind his punches. I just think he's going to be here for a while. BKFC is going to be here to stay. Your point of investing in BKFC has proven to be the right decision.
Not necessarily, because no one's going to be competing with the UFC. You'd be a fool to try to even try to compete with them.
You got to go your own route.
But in my opinion, they're the second biggest organization right now.
Yeah, look at the production value of the events.
It's getting better every time.
And it's 100% blowing like PFL out of the water.
100%. So yeah, big shout out to Jeremy Stephens. I'm happy for him. He's going to get a nice payday. Now 3-0 in BKFC.
Wow.
Also, cashing as a 2-1 underdog in the co-main event. Our boy, shout out Big Ben Rothwell, claimed undisputed gold at heavyweight for the first time in his career. What an uppercut. This man is dangerous. And who the fuck wants to fight Ben Rothwell on bare knuckles? What the fuck?
No, I mean, dude, he's always been like that, and an intimidating, just freak of nature, bro. And we I made that post about him time again. It's him fighting for 25 plus years and really not having a scratch on him. He's another one that could very well do well for time to come to BKFC. I know Mick Terrell is going to be itching to get that one back, and it may have come to be a more competitive fight the next time around, but who's to say that he's not going to be ready after a knockout like that? Ben Rothwell might have to defend that belt a couple times. It might be a big size discrepancy if Juggernaut Hunt struggle with Mick Terrell. I don't think he's going to be able to jump up to heavyweight. So, I think it's interesting to see who's going to be there for him. I would hate to see Big Ben Rothwell have to wait to fight Mick Terrell based off that knockout. I mean, he was always unorthodox in the cage. When we saw him in the UFC, man, the way that he was throwing punches is similar to how he threw that uppercut. It was on a shovel hook on the escape. It was very interesting how he threw that shot. And then also the submissions coming to mind when he was used. I mean, he's just a character. I think he's a veteran. On my eyes, I think a combat sports Hall of Famer, Big Ben Rothwell.
Oh,
just
yeah,
the longevity,
absolutely.
the way that he's done it, and I'm happy for him as well.
100%. We're biased. We're big Ben Rothwell fans.
Absolutely. I not to jump ahead, but I mean, I went the other route, but I got to say I'm pretty impressed by me going 0 for the BKFC event, Knucklemania 5. So, and not all too bad. If you get everything wrong, I think that's an accomplishment.
That's hard. I mean, sometimes you just mosey on into a win sometimes.
If you faded me, you made a lot of money.
Exactly. So, real quick though, another guy, Ben Rothwell, was on the Ariel Helwani show. He did say that was his last contract as well. It's very interesting to me that as smart as David Feldman is, you don't lock these guys in before a title reign, because what if he won? Now you have your champion unsigned. Now I'm assuming they're going to get a deal done, but
how about the psychological perspective of, not to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
The fact of you on your last fight of your contract, that extra motivation that if you don't win this, who knows that I'm going to sign you back. So even if you're fighting for a title as a challenger or say defending it, I mean, you might be on a short leash. Who knows? It could be extra motivation and could work into the psychology of what David Feldman's doing over at BKFC.
You also mentioned potential fights next. He named 2 guys very interesting. Francis Ngannou for his resume, which would be a fucking barn burner.
Bonkers, dude.
And good friend of the show, Mark Hunt. David Feldman said Mark Hunt needs one fight in Australia or New Zealand, and then if he wins that fight, he would grant him a title fight against Ben Rothwell. Would you like to see that fight? That's a barn burner.
I mean, that's a crazy ass fight, man. I mean, Mark Hunt's a legend. We just haven't seen him fight in quite a while. He's been wrapped up with all the, behind the scenes litigation with the UFC trying to sue them. So who knows where his head's at, if he's been training or whatever conspiracy theory you want to believe in that. But, man, I had a fighter that you were mentioning, Mark Hunt, but it kind of escaped me, man. Having Big Ben Rothwell fight a bare knuckle dude, I'm not going to come across it, so I lost it. But
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I lost it, dude. But yeah,
it'll come back.
It'll come back. Yeah.
But I thought those 2 names were interesting. He goes, I fought a lot of the who's in the UFC and BKFC, but if I got a guy like Francis Ngannou or Anthony Joshua on my resume and I beat them, that would do crazy. Wonders for him.
Yeah, Francis Ngannou signing would be absolutely crazy. Any of the big name boxers signing, I think, would be blockbuster for the company. And, you mentioned friend of the show, besides Mark Hunt, if Clay Collard came over to BKFC, I think he would thrive.
Yeah, I would love him. You don't got to worry about the takedowns. Let's just fucking brawl. I love it. I love it. And to be honest, watching it, and correct me if you see something different, it really forces the action. They're fucking fighting in a phone booth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Small gloves do it, but then there you get bare knuckles. I'll do it even more, man. Bone on bone is just is ultra violence.
Yeah, I love it. It's growing, and a lot of the people who said I can't watch it, they're starting to come around. They're like, wow, this is entertaining. Yeah, baby, you're late to the party.
Better late than never.
Yeah, better late than never. So yeah, big shout out to Ben Rothwell and Jeremy Stevens. But I think the fight of the weekend, man, and probably the best fight in PFL history, Usman Nurmagomedov taking on Paul Hughes. Usman Nurmagomedov defeated Paul Hughes via majority decision, 47-47 and 48-46 times 2. It was so back and forth, Joe. I don't think it was a robbery because of how close it was, man. But even in a loss, it seems like the whole world was high and confident on Paul Hughes and to be on his side and complimentary of what he was accomplishing, and see how really good the kid is. You see legends like Dustin Poirier come out and tweet like, yo, this guy is legit. To be honest, I scored rounds 2, 4, and 5 for Paul Hughes, but round 2 I watched back was extremely close. I think you could have scored it for Usman, but I thought he did enough, Paul Hughes, especially late in the fight, and it seemed like he was breaking him later in the fight and kind of figuring things out. I would like to see him push a little more and push the pace just a little more, but I thought he fought a really good fight, man. I really did. I know he was very disappointed in himself. Love after the fight, both men extremely complimentary of one another, showing love. I know people are upset about Usman going in, after the ring, they go in the back and Usman goes, yeah, Paul Hughes needs about 2 to 3 more fights for a rematch. I love that, to be honest. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but we all know he's playing the heel, Joe. You and I, we're talking WWE later. He was playing the heel role, and I love that, kid. We all know why he's saying it. He doesn't want to fight him. He doesn't want to fight Paul Hughes again.
Not back to back.
No, that rematch.
We talked about it. Hardest thing to do in combat sports is beat the same opponent twice, especially back to back fights.
I think the rematch needs to happen. There's no other fight for these two fighters, and if Don Davis could just do the right thing, they need to book this match early spring, middle of the summer. They need to run this back.
Yeah, I could definitely see the argument there, and I could also see the argument that Paul Hughes won the fight. You know what I mean? But it came out as a unanimous decision, did it not?
Via majority.
It was majority. Decision. So no scorecards were technically in Paul Hughes' favor.
No, they had one
scorecard was a draw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul Hughes leveled up. That's for sure. I do think that the damage may have swayed the judges a little bit. He had the visible cut, the blood coming out of the nose. I think that was showing a little bit towards Usman's favor. I think you could see that the gas tank was fading on both of them a little bit, especially that they were getting that slugfest in the 5. It was a great fight for Paul Hughes, to build his name up. I think it was a big step in competition. Coming what he just came off of that first fight, Rafael Stas, right? Who he took on?
No,
AJ McKee.
No, he's AJ McKee.
AJ McKee. He was ex-champion. I mean, that is a very high level, but also people argue that, AJ McKee won that fight. I think it's just, if you get to this level of fighting and these guys are so closely contested that all it takes is one little mistake here, one little mistake there. You can see why, I hate to compare, apples to oranges with the sports, but you can see why people are hating that the Chiefs keep winning when they're winning by a hair. You know what I mean? That's just how close I think when you get to that high level of a sport. I think you got to believe that these sports are legitimate and they're not scripted or anything like that. So I want to get that out in the air. But that just goes to show that how high level these fighters are, man. It's just a minor little thing will change the outcome of the fight. And that's all it is. I think Paul Hughes can tweak a little something here and there. I just do think that the PFL might not make the immediate rematch. I'm kind of on that where I think Usman may have to defend the belt against someone else, but I don't think 2 or 3 fights. I think just one. I think Paul Hughes, if he does get that one fight outside of a title fight, I think if he makes a case, especially with a finish, I think the PFL will oblige. Let's say, Paul Hughes, you're back in the spot. Usman, we have no one else. You're going to have to defend against Paul Hughes.
Yeah, I don't know. I love him playing the heel, and I love the complimentary. He was like, hey, brother, you were right. I underestimated you. You know why? He doesn't want to rematch him. Paul Hughes took him to the brink. I don't know. I could see him fighting one more time, but who are they gonna fight? Who are they gonna pair Paul Hughes against? Like in the second fight, he took Usman Nurmagomedov to the brink. That says something on Paul Hughes, I think.
Yeah, but to lose an effort as a challenger, normally you don't get granted a rematch at a time.
I mean,
if you're the champion, they'd be more favorable for Usman to get that title shot.
100%.
So, like I said, I don't think 2 to 3 fights, as Usman like to say. Your points are valid in that regards, but I like to compromise. I'll be an arbitrator of the whole thing and say I think one more fight for Paul Hughes, and he'll be right back getting a title shot. That's all it takes because he's such a big star. The way that he competed there, it's just how it would be. Usman's gonna have to defend the belt against someone else. Paul's gonna need one more fight, but he'll be back in the mix.
Yeah, definitely be back in the mix. Stock did not fall for either fighter.
If anything, it increased for both of them. I do think maybe not a decrease for Usman or an increase, kind of like you said, stayed right where it at. But definitely, Paul Hughes, his name is now known in more households.
Best fight in PFL history?
PFL I don't know, man. There was a lot of good Bellator fights, but
it's up there, Joe. If you,
I was gonna say you got to give me some time to look at some.
Yeah, no, I was
PFL
gonna say if someone says what's PFL or maybe show me one fight,
because what it categorizes the World Series of Fighting, right? Would that go all the way back there, right? So that's the thing, right? Does that category like how we do Strike Force or a WEC for the UFC? Those count, right?
Yeah.
So
no, you're right. You're right. But overall, 0-2 on the weekend. I took a shot on Paul Hughes, and then I took a shot on the hometown kid, Eddie Alvarez. So 0-2 on the weekend for me. But what a weekend of fights, Joe. How did you do?
Not so good. Like I said, I went 0 for my straight pick. So pretty impressive there. But, at least I hit my totals. I think I got to incorporate some more totals. So you'll see some more of that for these picks this weekend. But I went overall 2-10. Pretty impressive. I didn't get a single pick right for BKFC, but we will improve. I mean, you definitely the sky's looking up from here after 2-10 posting.
Oh, we got a lot of ground to make up this week. We got a ton of action across WWE, boxing, BKFC, and UFC Saudi Arabia. But before we do that, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We flavor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives, whether it's Huckleberry watching UFC Saudi Arabia or a new flavor coconut watching the Guo. It doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with that Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. I believe here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. Let's go. By the way, how long is Joe? You muted yourself, so that's why I can't unmute you. How long is Riyadh season? Because I always feel like these cards are hosted by Riyadh season. How long does Riyadh season usually go for?
I don't think it's just a season.
Yeah,
it's not. I think it's just like it's a trademark. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it is the Riyadh season. It's all part. It's all under the umbrella.
Everything. Yeah. Okay, kid. Let's go over to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Prelims, like I said, 9 a.m. start early. Set your alarms. Early start time here on the
I'll be
East
up.
Coast.
Sure.
Yep.
Hey, they kind of set us up, man. 3 weekends in a row of 4 a.m. cards. You know what I mean? I've been ready.
To 9 a.m. We got UFC Saudi Arabia is going to go right into Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble is going to go right into David Benavidez and David Morrell. And then it's going to go right into Clarissa. And then it's going to go right into the Royal Rumble. It's amazing, baby. All right, kid. Anything on the prelims for you? We got some fights. My girl Chaz Davisius is fighting.
Yes, she is. Yes, man. UFC Saudi Arabia card, man. I think I'm gonna be chasing. I'm posting a 2-10 record, my boy. I'm gonna try to find you some winners, and I'm gonna be touching the entire card. So the fight card starts in the early prelims, heavyweight division. We kick it off with Hamdi Abdel Wahab is taking on Jamal Pogues. And they're pick'em right now. It's a heavyweight pick'em. Who are you going to side with? Jamal Pogues looked good in his last outing. Hamdi Abdel Wahab has not really look bad inside a cage or even on the mats of ADCC or bare knuckle when he was fighting for our boy Gamebred, fighting for Jorge Masvidal's promotion. I think fighting in that type of condition, his amateur rank, he's never lost either. He has a no contest turned around when he fought Dontel Mays. It might seem that 2025 is the year to fade these undefeateds, to not jump on the hype trains. As we've seen so far, all the undefeateds have now gotten a loss on the record. But I think after all the controversy and maybe all the little hiccups that Hamdi has overcome, it's a tough test against Jamal Pogues, but I think he'll pass it. I'm going to take the pick and take Hamdi as our first pick of UFC Saudi Arabia. So let's go into the featherweight division for the next fight. Bogdan Grad, Dana White Contender Series alum, man. I think he's a very explosive striker, and he's at a dog price here at plus 105, taking on Lucas Alexander, who, to be honest, I mean, look at his last outings coming off of a loss. I have seen him be finished a couple times in lower regional promotions. I'm surprised that he's a favorite here at minus 115. So going to go dog hunting. I'm going to take a guy who I've seen compete in the UFC ranks and has looked good. And I think he has a very high ceiling. So let's see if he can raise his, stock value here. Give me Bogdan Grad. I'm taking him at plus 105 price. I think it's a good investment here early in the prelims. So now, as you talked about, Jazz Davicius is here in a women's flyweight matchup. She is a favorite as well. Minus 240 taking on Shitara. I did not expect that when I thought the odds would be posted. I thought Mayra Bueno Silva would be the favorite, but she is a dog here at plus 230. Are you willing to take her in a dog spot? She has fought high-level competition, but, fighting for a title on the last two losses that she's posted have not looked good. She has gassed. She's looked kind of sloppy in there, but Jasmine, on the other hand, has looked fantastic in her last couple of fights. And I think she's on a 4-fight, if not 5-fight win streak here. I want to take her. I really do. I do think she's the right side, but something tells me that this fight is closely contested. As Mayra Bueno Silva has adjusted her camp, she's now fighting with the Fighting Nerds. She's training over with the undefeated Fighting Nerds. It didn't fall so well with the women because Bruna Brazil is fighting with them as well. And she, unfortunately, is the one that had a couple losses as compared to the men in that camp. For me, kind of on the fence in this fight, more or less, these women's fights are going to decision. I think this is a closely contested fight. Got some value for you. Neither picking a side, but knowing that the fight will end via decision. But in which way? I'm going with the fight ending in split or majority decision at plus 375. I think if you hunt for that, I think it's going to be a split either way. I think one judge may just have a mind on who this fight's going to be for. So can't go wrong with who you're going to pick via decision. Fight ends in split or majority at plus 375. I think it's a very sneaky prop kind of total bet.
Love that.
So let's go into the next fight, a lightweight division fight. I think it's going to be a very exciting. If you don't know Damir Hadzovic, I mean, he is a very entertaining fighter, 38 years of age. That's the reason I think people are seeing him being a little inactive. That's why they posted him at plus 450. Terrence T-Rex McKinney. What more can we say about this dude? I think it's first round or bust for him. To squeeze his minus 460 down, I think the age discrepancy is there. I think the explosiveness is there. I think it's worth taking T-Rex here in this spot. Give me the first round KO TKO for him at plus 350. I think Damir Hadzovic is really good, and he could win via decision. I think if the first round finish doesn't happen, I think Damir could possibly win in if he has a little resurgence of his late career, win on the judges' scorecards, but I'm not willing to take that as that dog price. Give me the heavy favorite, getting it done in one via KO TKO at plus 350. Now we move to the heavyweight division here for Shamil Ghazayev at minus 320, taking on the trained Thomas Peterson at plus 290. Man, a lot of different ways to approach this fight. Do we see Shamil Ghazayev improve? I think he had a fight after that embarrassing loss to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Could have been a massive jump in competition for him there, and he just wasn't ready for that. We're going to see Jairzinho later in this card, but Thomas Peterson, rocky start to his career, has the win in Dana White Contender Series, joins the ranks of UFC and loses, and then he gets back on the right track. So, a lot of finishes between both of these guys. It does seem, I'm taking a chance at this one. It does seem that the fight more or less is going to go with a KO TKO finish between either guy with like a ground and pound, or either going to get tired out and we're going to see like a sloppy slugfest to get to the judges. But I mean, if you look at both these guys, I mean, hidden in there, they do like those takedowns, like I mentioned, a ground and pound. I think if it gets sloppy, and I think I'm going to incorporate what I just said with the two ways that this fight can finish. If it gets sloppy in there and there's a lot of grappling going on, I think a submission could happen. So I'm going to go out and say I'm not going to pick a side, but Thomas Peterson has submissions. Shimo Gaziev likes submissions. Fight ends in submission, plus 500. I'm looking at specific ways to see these fights end, maybe not a side. But I see this fight possibly go that way. So fight ends in a submission at plus 500 for these heavyweights.
Love that.
Now let's go to the next fight. A featherweight division matchup between Muhammad Naimov, the Hillman, at minus 315, taking on Khan Offley, the Turkmen. He's at plus 280. You know, both, I think, have a lot of experience in the cage. I think, you know, they do hunt the finish, but I think this is a decision fight. I do think that this has decision written all over it. I'm interested to see if it will get there, though. I think there might be a mistake that's telling me why this fight may end early. But that's why I'm taking a shot here, and I do see why they have the under as a dog price. You know, it really does have decision written all over it. I'm looking at these guys' decisions. You got majority of their fights are going to the scorecards. Granted, both sides do have a majority of those decisions go in their favor. Two guys are going to push the pressure there. You know what? Since I didn't do too much digging into this, and like I said, it does have decision written all over it, I'm going to fade that. I'm going to fade the public, fade the books. I do think that these guys may go in there and put their countries on their back and try to make their camps proud and go for a finish. You know, I'm going to fade the public that has it as a favorite, that this will go to the judges. I'm going to take the under 2.5 at plus 140 for the Muhammad Naimov and Khan Offley fight. I think a mistake will happen in there by one of them, and the other will execute it.
Love it.
So let's go to the preliminary main. Is this the main card start or the main card? So Muhammad Naimov and Khan Offley are going to be the preliminary main headliner.
Yeah.
They better have a finish then. You can tell I was a little all over the place for that one, but let's lock in for this next as we start the main card. In the lightweight division, Fares Ziam, the Smile Killer, is a dog at plus 120. He's taking one of the best nicknames in the game, Beast Boy Mike Davis at minus 135. D-Rock, you've been waiting for the return of Mike Davis.
Sir.
Are you going with him?
Yeah, give me my boy Mike Davis here, straight up minus 140. Ziam, he was impressive. He got a win over our boy Matt Frivola back in September, but Mike Davis is much different fighter than anyone Ziam has fought recently. On the feet, Davis is devastating striker. He has precision, he has power, and he's also improved his takedown defense as well. And we saw in his last fight, he got an arm triangle choke last March against Nathan Levy. So he could submit people off of his back as well. I like Davis to get the win here. Minus 140. Don't mind the price. A little chalky, but I think it's a good spot for him. Give me Mike Davis straight up.
Man, I'm glad you took Mike Davis, you know, because I wanted to. I've always liked Beast Boy. I really think he's an uber talented fighter. But I look back at some of the performances, and he has let us down in some performances here. Fares Ziam, on the other hand, besides that little slip up with Terrence McKinney, he's on an absolute roll. You know, I think they nicknamed him Smile Killer for a reason, because I think a lot of people are smiling that Mike Davis is on a card, and they're going to be thinking they're going to incorporate him a parlay or going to pick him straight up with a prop or some there. And Fares Ziam's going to come in at this dog price and seal the show. So I'm on the opposite side. I'm taking the younger Fares Ziam at plus 125. I think he has the skills to match up with Mike Beast Boy Davis. If it hits the mat, it might be a little bit different. Mike Davis may have a little bit more in his arsenal, but I think Fares Ziam is explosive. He does offer good scrambles when it does get there. So if he gets back on his feet, he makes this a long fight. It could go the other way. So I'm against you. May the best man win in this matchup. Give me Fares Ziam plus 125. So we'll go into the next fight. I like this fight a lot. I think, looking at the card, you know, a lot of these fights in the next four could still fight tonight, in my opinion. But I think something could be said about this one here in the bantamweight division. Saeed Nurmagomedov is minus 150, and he's taking on Vinny Oliveira, Lock Dog, at plus 145. You've seen him last time out with that explosive flying switch knee KO of Bernard Sopak. And we saw Sopak last time. He comes out and gets the win against, Ricky Tercios, you know. Thought we'd get the finish from him there, so he didn't. But that just shows Tercios is tough. But Vinny Oliveira is an up-and-coming dude. I am not necessarily willing enough to take the wild card, though. We only see him in that one performance, right? We see that he took advantage of Bernardo Sopa gassing in the late rounds. I don't think Saeed is going to be the one to gas here. If anything, he might be pushing the pace and may get Vinny to fold a little bit. But I think it's going to be a very closely contested fight. That's why I'm not going specific with the prop at all. But I think it give a slight edge to Saeed Nurmagomedov, especially if he decides to wrestle. If he does seem to be more of a stand-up guys. We're seeing some of the new age Nurmagomedovs, but that wrestling is always going to be there. And remind you, remember that vicious guillotine he had for that finish last time out. I think that's on the table as well with the submission. So I do think Saeed Nurmagomedov is the right side. Give me him straight up at -150. He's very playable, but he's also a first leg of a 3-leg parlay.
Yeah, I'm on the same side, Joe. I got Saeed Nurmagomedov -152. So if you get -150, even better, shop around. I just think we're getting a discounted price here on Nurmagomedov here because of the hype, the exciting style of Vinny Oliveira. However, I do think these two are completely different levels at this stage of their careers. Like Saeed, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's better everywhere, I think, in this matchup. While Oliveira, he's going to try to brawl, turn this into chaotic mess. And I just don't think it's going to work against a high IQ, composed fighter like a Nurmagomedov. So as fun as Oliveira is in the cage, and I do think he has a bright future in the UFC, I think this spot is a little too soon for him. So I would agree. Give me Saeed Nurmagomedov -152.
Is there a Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Umar Nurmagomedov fight in the future?
Wow.
I don't know if they'll let that happen. Featured bout of UFC Saudi Arabia takes place in the heavyweight division. Sergey Pavlovich still doesn't have a nickname. I'm putting it out there. I think his nickname should be Pavlo, if you remember from
yeah.
The Pavlo. I think he's like that. He's got that knockout ability. Comes with like an attack helicopter. Maybe bad timing. I apologize. -285. Jairzinho Rozenstruik +270. Man, Jairzinho Rozenstruik seems to be improving. He's got King Mo in his corner now. I mean, you look at how good he's looked, bro. I think he has evolved, man. Jairzinho Rozenstruik doesn't let takedowns in at all. I think what happened when we saw him live in Charlotte. Seeing Jolton Almeida taken down with that ease, you and I literally, and we talk about this as we have in plenty of episodes in the past. As soon as we saw them hit the mat, we got up and left. We knew what was coming. Jairzinho is not the same fighter. He's not allowing that to happen. But it's if Sergey Pavlovich is going to be that type of guy to want to incorporate any wrestling. Pavlovich, as we know, though he's looked bad his last two outings, he's a striker. He's going to want to go in there for the kill and get the finish in the first round. Jairzinho Rozenstruik also has ability to finish you in the first round. They're saying the fight's going to end in the first round because the favorite odds they have posted for it is -135. But as I did before in the Muhammad Naiman and Khan Ofli fight, everything's saying to go one way. I'm going the opposite. I'm fading it ever so slightly. Give me the over 1.5 rounds at +165. I think they can escape the first, and I think possibly a late finish in the second. If not, we'll get one in the third for sure. I don't see this fight going to the judges' scorecards. If we do, it's because both guys had a bad camp and they were completely gassed. So I hope we don't get maybe some sloppiness with the heavyweights throughout the card. They're at sea level in the desert, so I'm hoping some good fights for the 265-pound division. You have anything for the future?
No, nothing for the big boys.
Interesting. Okay, now let's go to the co-main event. And this is in the middleweight division. I'm not remembering as many times I've seen MVP in 185-pound weight class.
It's a one-off.
It's a one-off, but if I remember correctly, when he got 185, did he get knocked out, or that was still 170 when he fought Diego Lima? It was 170 still, right?
Yeah, it was 170.
Well, interesting that he's not fighting at 170, but his odds posted are at +170. So MVP is, of course, the dog in this spot, coming out of his natural weight class, moving up and fighting Shara Bullet Magomedov. He's -170, and I do think it's a good test for Shara Bullet here. I didn't want to fade Michael Page at all coming into the UFC. I think that he's a very underrated guy. I like everything about him. Very experienced. He has toughness. He fought Mike Perry and Baranelko, so he's game. Michael Page is that kind of guy that you can never underestimate him. And are you going to take a Michael Page? Is it the time to fade the undefeated guys as 2025 seems to be? I can't do it. I think Shara out there in the desert is going to be at home. I think he's going to be feeling himself. He's going to be in the flow state. And I think even without that eye, I think, a couple of matching what Michael Page is going to throw out there is going to throw Michael Page off his game. So I like Shara Bullet in a spot Don't think the submission's on the table, but I will be playing him straight up because I got that as a second leg of the money line parlay that I have. So, yeah, Shara Bullet as the second leg. And a straight up minus 170 still palatable, but just, a little more chalky than we would like.
Yeah, this line doesn't make sense to me, Joe. Give me MVP at plus 146. Fans who believe this matchup will be a striker's delight might be in for a surprise. I think although MVP is a well-known striker, he has been working on his grappling. We saw him a few months ago in a grappling against Carlos Condon as well. Even in his last fight against Ian Machado Gary last June, he took Gary to the ground and won a round in top position. If Page leans on his grappling here, he could win this fight no problem. On the feet, I think it's a 50-50 fight as both fighters, they're great kickboxers, great strikers. Magomed Shara Bullet is a near 2-1 favorite, minus 170, minus 180. He opened up at a minus 200, so money has come down on him. I just don't agree with the line. I believe MVP has more ways to win. I think he's fought better level of competition so far in MMA. Shara Bullet, who's he fought? I mean, they're really not putting him against anyone because they want him to survive. My worry is if it goes to decision because of where it's taking place, I might worry about that, but I think MVP gets the job done here. Plus 146. Give me the underdog.
May the best man win. Armor Petrosian's no slouch in the stand-up position. He was a very decorated.
He's no Machado Gary.
Yeah, but Michael Page is not at 170. He's fighting the big boys.
He don't matter. My boy.
Speaking of the big boys at 185, here is the chance for Nasruddin Imavov to make a name for himself, taking on the world-renowned last style bender Israel Adesanya. The books have as a favorite, minus 155. Imavov's a dog at plus 125. D-Rock, who are you siding with?
Yeah, first non-title fight in 6 years for Israel Adesanya. Give me Izzy here, straight up. I think he's motivated, man. I got him at minus 155. I think he has a striking advantage. Plus, the 5-round experience, I think, is going to be a big factor here, in my opinion. As long as Izzy can avoid being held down for 5 rounds, and that really isn't the type of fighter Imavov is anyway, I don't think he should have any problem keeping this fight on the feet and getting back into the win column. I worry, though, if he does lose, what does Izzy have to do left in the sport? Because I don't think he sticks around and fights these contenders. He doesn't need
karate combat.
I just don't see him sticking around like Max Holloway and saying, no,
he can start his own promotion. I'll be real with you. He's got a big enough name and fan base that he could honestly start his own promotion.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying I just don't see him staying in the UFC and fighting these contenders. He's not like that. He's the top of the top. So I think he gets back in the win column. And then maybe one more fight, he gets the title shot again. But I think this is a good fight to kind of, y'all must have forgot. Give me Izzy, minus 155.
And we are on the same side. As you feared in the previous matchup with what Michael Page will do, I think that will be completely out of his character, but it's not so much for Imavov. In the past, you can see he has ground and pound finishes. He's rode out victories to the judges' scorecards using wrestling. He's got submissions on his resume. He even finished Edmund Shabazian with elbows from the crucifix position. So my worry for Israel Adesanya, as you can see with the holes in his game, is if he gets taken down. But I do think DDP was able to do that because he's just a massive bulldog in there at 185, but he's really 215 when he's fighting Izzy, who's really only 190 maybe. You know what I mean? Like, DDP is a massive human to be fighting at 185. So I think that's kind of the issue that Izzy had faced when he was fighting him. But I just don't think, to you said, I don't think Imavov necessarily is afraid to stand up with Israel Adesanya. So I do think that the game plan may go into Adesanya's favor in that exact fact, because if Imavov wants to stand to him, I think he'll be outclassed. I do think Imavov is a really good fighter on the feet, but I just think there's levels. And Israel Adesanya has yet to really be tested on the feet. I think the only people that have really gotten to him have incorporated the wrestling. So, yeah, I think you got to go with Israel Adesanya here until you see this man break, but I don't think there's ever breaking Izzy. I'll be honest with you. I mean, he's a fighter's fighter. You know, people may not like some of the antics that he does at times, or maybe some of the questionable things, but when it comes down to fighting, Izzy is one of the best fighters we've ever seen in the UFC. And I think that if he wins this, he does have a little bit of an itch to get back into the title picture. It has to be. I mean, he doesn't want to just coast here, as you said. If he was going to lose, he probably would get out. I do think you're right about that. But if he's going to win here, I don't think he's just going to coast and just trying to collect checks. I think he's going to try to go for glory. Maybe try to get the Alex Pereira fight again. I don't know if that's on the table, but I mean, he's just a gamer. Izzy's not going to back down. So I feel like I got to pick him straight up here at minus 155 and incorporate him as the last leg of my 3-leg Saudi Arabia strikers parlay. So that was Saeed Nurmagomedov, that was Sharabullah, and Izzy for plus 335. I'm hoping all of them win and give you some good odds for that parlay. So that would do it for UFC Saudi Arabia.
Real quick, Joe, on that last thing. First, is he the best middleweight of all time, or is it still Spider? Is it still Anderson Silva?
Yeah, it's still Anderson Silva.
And 2, Alex Pereira was on Ariel Helwani's show, and you know how we saw how Robert Whittaker started to train at with Eugene over down in with Volk and Israel Adesanya. They said, would you be interested in doing that, or would you want to fight Izzy one more time? He goes, no, like we're actually at a really good spot. We're like very cordial with one another. He goes, we fought each other 4 times. We don't need to fight anymore. No. He goes, I root for him now. He roots for me. And they asked him, who would you rather fight? Izzy one more time or John Jones? And he goes, I don't want to fight Izzy anymore. I'd rather fight John Jones. And I don't think we ever see that fight again. I don't think Izzy wants that fight again, and I don't think Alex Pereira wants that fight again, even though it would be huge.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that fight is, if they want it, is going to be making them both a lot of money.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. That's probably what it would be for. And I think that as the fans, I think we should do them the courtesy of accepting that fight. If both of these guys, want to end out their career in that manner, I think we should all be willing to, be oblige. There to oblige, and appreciate and reciprocate that energy, because 100%. What all they've done for us. So, yeah, I got to take Izzy in the main event of UFC Saudi Arabia. Let's do it.
Same. Let's fucking go. Good luck, Joe. Let's get back into the win column there. Let's go to Saturday night. Let's go to the boxing. We got a huge fight, biggest fight so far 2025, even though in like 2-3 weeks we got Bivol Benavidez 2. Woo! That's going to be a hell of a fight too. But right now, let's go to you can watch it free on ppv.com or Prime, 8 p.m. here. David Benavidez and David Morrell in what could be the fight of the year. I think the winner could take a big step forward to maybe a shot against Artur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol 2 winner, right?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. That's fine. I mean, also Canelo's on the table. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh,
Canelo's on the table, but Bud Crawford.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, does he get the Bud Crawford?
Are we breaking news? Are we breaking some news early? But
but
that's the thing. It seems like they're getting the fights together, which is what we want to see.
Right now, David Benavidez minus 225, David Morrell plus 210, plus 180 around other sites. Shop around. But Joe, I'll hand it to you first. Main event should be a banger of a fight. What do you got?
Yeah, and the card is going to have a great display of youthful Latin talent. You know what I mean? Keep an eye out even for the other title fight. Mirko Cuello is taking on Christian Olivo. It's for the interim WBA World Featherweight title. But now, for the WBA regular and interim WBC World Light Heavyweight title is David Benavidez. I saw him at minus 154. You're saying you see him at minus 120-ish around that range? That's a better price. If I can find him in there, I'll take it.
David Benavidez is minus 225, minus 230.
So okay, there you go. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I was like, wait a minute. Money's coming in on David Morrell. That's the opposite of what I see. But he's now, I saw him at plus 175, 176. You're saying now he's surging towards plus 200.
Yes.
So it seems a lot of money's coming on David Benavidez. It seems more money also has come in after the press conference. You saw how, much trash talk was going on between the two of them. A bad blood going on. David Morrell, I think he's a very exciting Cuban fighter. He's got explosive ability, knockouts in his resume. And he's an up-and-coming dude, but I do think there's levels to it. It's a big jump up. Granted, he's the one with the title. He's with the WBA regular light heavyweight. He's the one that has that title, actually.
Yeah.
The interim is on the Benavidez side. So, he's the defending champ, but 11 fights in his professional record. I know he does have a little bit more in the amateur realm, but it's just, an undefeated professional boxer with 24 knockouts. David Benavidez is no joke. He's going to find the body. He's going to keep you at bay. His defense is sound. And I think he may have gotten to his head a little bit because Morrell was a shell of himself during that press conference. So Benavidez not only is going to back up the talk, he's going to show that ring presence when he gets in there. So I think the right side is taking David Benavidez. I saw him when I took him as minus 154. So I got him a little early.
Yeah.
I think playing him straight up at that price is well worth it, especially now that he's a minus 200. So David Morrell, he gets this loss out of his system early. I think there's a lot going for him in the future because, like I said, I think he's very young and he's talented. So a loss shouldn't be everything, but in the boxing world, they hold that so sacred. So Benavidez will keep his, and then we'll look to see if he gets, like you said, those other fights.
Yeah, hopefully he gets the winner of Beterbiev Bivol 2 going down in a few weeks. Yeah, Joe, this is going to be a great fight. But I'm going to take David Benavidez here to win via decision at plus 125. I think this is a 50-50 matchup because the timing and sharp counterpunching of Morrell, I think, can overtake Benavidez' punch volume. However, I do think David Morrell, counterpunching can be overwhelmed by the volume, the punch power. I don't think it's going to leave him with limited space, counterpunching and forcing him to defend more than he can attack. And I don't think that's good for David Morrell. If he can withstand the pace of David Benavidez and take advantage of some of his flaws, overreaching along the ropes, maybe the footwork, maybe he can capitalize on the overexposure of Benavidez, and maybe he could win. But I don't know. I think Benavidez can use his step backs, right hooks, cross from the southpaw, and more importantly, if he could take Morrell's power through 6 rounds, I think he's going to break David Morrell's will and relentless pressure. So maybe get a stop there, but I think it is favored the fight to go the distance. I'm going to take David Benavidez here. I think he is the better fighter, just barely, but I think he is the better fighter, plus 125. And I hope he does get the fight, the winner of Beterbiev and Bivol 2.
I think it'll all bring it around to the Canelo and Bud Crawford fight. If those fights occur, the winner of that matchup, they'll then meet.
You were saying the fight card overall, though, is a good one with a lot of Latino power. Any other fights you like or keeping your eye on?
Yoenis Rodriguez. He's an undefeated dude. Yeah, you're just seeing a lot from all over Latin America, South America, Central America, even the Caribbean. So I think that's just what, even some, those that are over there but are representing the United States. So, yeah, you're just seeing that type of talent that they have on display. So I'm excited for it. I thought the Claressa Shields was on this card, but they got their own event going on.
Yeah, thank you. This is a perfect segue. Yeah, they got their own back in Flint, Michigan. The Guo back in action on a rare Sunday night fight card. You could catch it on DAZN. Walkout time. Well, the card starts at 7:30. Like the walkout estimate is around 11:30 on a Sunday, kid. Like that's tough. That's tough for me. I mean, I got bedtime. I got work Monday morning. But I mean, she is going for undisputed at heavyweight, and she's a huge favorite right now. Claressa Shields is a minus 1,400.
I saw 1,400.
Yeah, 1,400. While Danielle Perkins is plus 1,300, plus 1,100. I see.
Yep.
Man, I think she's a huge favorite for a reason. She's the Guo. Shout out! You gotta watch her movie. Her documentary is crazy.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, she's inspirational, man, and she's proven it day in and day out.
What she's overcome in her life, a girl from, and Joe, we haven't really been to Flint, Michigan, but we know the trials and tribulations people go through over there. So for her to overcome everything and be the Guo is very inspiring. So if you do want something to watch, I think her documentary is very inspiring. But I think her power is really going to translate here at heavyweight. We saw it in her first fight. She got the knockout, and she's usually not a knockout fighter.
No, she'll outbox you normally.
She'll really outbox you. Yeah. She'll take you to school. But what's really impressed me watching Claressa Shields is her hand speed. Few could match her in her timing and speed at light heavyweight. And her counters are they're just far too quick for anybody, especially her last fight. And Danielle Perkins, she's a methodical boxer, but I just feel like, Joe, she's going to be in a world of trouble if she cannot get Shields' speed under control. And I just think she's going to be in a whirlwind of trouble here. Claressa Shields too big of a favorite to play straight up, even via decision is minus 390. So I'll sprinkle her to get 2 KOs in a row at plus 360. I'll sprinkle a little on her. I think the counters, like I said, I think she's eventually just going to take her to school. And I think you could look in a person's eye. I think Danielle Perkins has some quit in her. Give me the GWOAT plus 360 via KO TKO.
Especially if Claressa Shields invests into the body for Danielle Perkins, who has a 6-foot frame. She is 6 foot tall, Danielle Perkins, fighting out of Brooklyn. I got to say that size is definitely going to come into play here, but that could also work against her as it gets to the later round. She could start fading, as you said, maybe even quit. So I played the same thing. I have Claressa Shields with the KO TKO at plus 360. You look at the level of competition as well. Danielle Perkins, 5-0, but all of those fighters she's fought, they're not to say they're cans, but minimum 500 records to sub 500 records. Look at Claressa Shields on the record. Maybe in the MMA, they're starting off a little slow, but if you look at the boxing, there's no slowness there. She's fighting world-class competition, champions in other weight classes, champions in other divisions and promotions across the board. And in boxing, there's multiple belts. So she's fighting other women that hold these belts and taking the belts from her. That's why she's the undisputed champion, and she's going for now heavyweight. So she's able to fight across the board, fight 2 sports at the same time. The only other, I think, female competitor I know fighting multiple sports at the same time is Stamp Fairtex out of 1. That's why she's a big star over there. But I think Claressa Shields is going to be a big star for PFL, and that should give you a little sign, Don Davis, to loosen the strings on the contracts and allow other fighters to venture and do other things. I think it would just do the PFL brand a favor. So yeah, Claressa Shields is the right side, and I think it's worth a chance in taking that prop, like you said, D-Rock. We're on the same boat. KO TKO plus 360. Invest into the body.
Invest into the body. I can't wait to see her. She is back in action. Kid, let's go. Let's mosey on over to Lucas Oil Stadium for the Royal Rumble. Woo! We are officially on the road to WrestleMania, baby. Coverage begins 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. This event is one of the most anticipated cards for WWE events in the year, and no different this year.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite event.
100%. That and I'm a big SummerSlam guy. I like SummerSlam. Obviously, WrestleMania is the Super Bowl for it, but this year WrestleMania only features 2 matches in addition to the Rumble matches, but both thrilling fights. Undisputed, like I said, WWE champion Cody Rhodes. He'll defend his title against friend turned rival Kevin Owens in a ladder match
for the wing belt.
I mean, fucking crazy. And in the card's other title fight, we got WWE Tag Team Champions DIY. I say that all the time. DIY. They're going to put their belts on the line against former champions Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match that, Joe, in my opinion, has the potential to steal the show.
Oh yeah, that's a huge factor.
What's your favorite fight like on the card? There's only 4, but
well, it's like the Royal Rumbles are going to steal the show for me, but and I think tonight with SmackDown there may be some more announcements.
Oh, really?
Obviously with the contestants and the participants of the Royal Rumble, but maybe we get another type of title match. Who knows? But I got to say the Royal Rumble, man. As much as you do say that the tag team could steal the show, there's a chance that the title fight between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens could do the same. I mean, that storyline has been brewing pretty bad. And like we said, it's for the Wing Angle belt. I mean, we haven't seen that in over 25 years.
You're right.
Cody Rhodes has been wanting to get that back. And here's the way to do it. Kevin Owens putting him on the map with it, because you need to have that type of face. You need to have a good heel. And Kevin Owens is perfect.
Do you think Kevin Owens is a good heel?
Kevin Owens is one of the best workers in all of wrestling.
Wow.
He's able to do anything you want him to do.
Canadian.
Yeah, he's good on the mic. He's good in there. Don't let the little belly, the beer belly fool you.
I think he's a great fighter, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could tell, like, same thing with Mick Foley. Granted, you're taking that little extra weight. Your body takes a little more punishment because you're carrying more weight around. But if you were to ask anyone if Mick Foley was in shape during his time, he would be able to maybe out wrestle some of the other wrestlers on the roster. And I think the same can be said for Kevin Owens.
Let's start with the men's Royal Rumble, kid. I want to do it a little different next year.
Okay,
I want us to pick a number and see who could get the closest number instead of picking a winner. But give me your winner, kid. I'm interested to see who you got.
we hear the rumblings of Royal Rumble, rumblings of John Cena and CM Punk, and are they gonna take center stage again? They're gonna revamp the rivalry and fight for a title and this and that. Or we're gonna set the record with John Cena breaking the. And I don't think the WWE is going that direction. I think they're on a whole nother path, and we have already that one title going to be defended this event, the WWE Undisputed Championship. So the World Heavyweight Championship's not being defended as of yet, Gunther's title. And I think that there's a great storyline going on between Gunther and a lot of the guys trying to get to the championship status. That being like Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. And that's who my pick is. It's Jey Uso, because I feel like you're gonna have Roman Reigns as an X factor in this matchup. He's involved, and it may come down to Jey Uso and Roman Reigns being a part of the last four to win the Royal Rumble. We normally do that, that stare down, which is like the last four, right? So I'm gonna see who's gonna be the last four. I do think it'd probably be Roman Reigns and Jey Uso involved somewhere, and we'll see if Jey Uso can overcome his cousin. If he can overcome the tribal chief in Roman Reigns, and if he can beat his cousin, then I think he's proved his point that he could fight for the title and become WWE champion and be what he's made out to be, main event Jey Uso. So yeah, my pick for the men's Royal Rumble is that. Going to have thousands of people in the audience and the crowd screaming yeet, yeet. Yeah, I can see it already. So yes, Jey Uso is my pick.
Yeah, I woke up this morning believing Cena would win. I even tweeted it out when he came back on the first night of WWE Live on Netflix.
Yes.
I felt somewhat certain that John Cena would win the Royal Rumble until Monday night. CM Punk's confrontation with Cody Rhodes sparked something that made it clear Punk versus Rhodes is the story the WWE should be telling as much as possible. Give me the best to ever do it. Give me CM Punk. I just think a straight shot to WrestleMania is too convenient for down on his luck veteran seeking the glory one last time for John Cena. Orton isn't as advertised for the Rumble, but I suspect he'll pull out a surprise victory to set up a showdown versus Rhodes at WrestleMania. Orton won't tie Cena's world title record, but he can tie Stone Cold Steve Austin's 3 Rumble pick. So watch out for Randy Orton. I think he's a surprise pick, but I'm going to go CM Punk here. I think he gets the win and Cena punches his own ticket at Elimination Chamber. But give me CM Punk to win the Royal Rumble, the best to ever do it.
There's so many ways you could, skin a cat in this.
It's how you are going to write the story. Me and Joey say we could be story writers.
Yeah, exactly. I do think Roman is, like you did mention that little caveat. Has there ever been a 3-time winner?
No. Randy Orton. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I feel like how high powered Roman Reigns is. He's already won it twice. He could be the other one to win it 3 times, right? Yeah. So we could see.
All right, let's go to the Women's Royal Rumble match. I will start this one off. You started it last time. Yeah, give me the queen. Charlotte Flair, she's an easy plug to play, an option, I think, for one of the biggest WrestleMania matches that it's not hard to pick up her win here. She's going to get the match against Tiffy Time, Stratton, and it also just makes too much sense to pass up Flair versus Stratton in a potential mass of passing the torch kind of moment. So even if Flair will be around as long as she wants, they're similar enough where wrestlers, I don't think they'll be separated enough by eras in which they entered the game to provide plenty of compelling storytellers. So I just think this is a really good fight for Charlotte Flair, and I think she in her major return from victory.
That'd be insane. I could see the crowd getting a little wild for that, but I could definitely tell you that Charlotte Flair will be in the final 4. I wonder who else will be there, but my pick is going to be who I think will be in the final 4. I think it's definitely difficult to get eliminated, but she's never won one before. I looked at the statistics. I'm like, she's never won a Royal Rumble. And I guess because she plays the heel all the time, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's hard sometimes to put the winner of the Royal Rumble as a heel. You normally want the person going for the champion to be a face and to, go for the heel champion. But, that would be, I think, Tiffany Stratton if Charlotte Flair could be, who's going to be the heel in that one. I'm a little concerned because I think Tiffany is the face right now, is she not? So it's the same thing. Both. What we're thinking is we got two heels possibly winning it. You got Charlotte Flair, and on my end, I got Nia Jax going for the other title and Rhea Ripley. Yeah, so I'm going to say that Nia Jax has never won before, and I think this is her year to do it. I think, now that WWE is run by, Triple H and, TKO, and I think Special Interest Group, The Rock, being as much pull as he has, think about who are the Royal Rumbles winners this year. Jey Uso for me and Nia Jax, both related to Dwayne Johnson.
Thoughts on Triple H having his moment going into the Hall of Fame? Much deserved, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he was great. During he was absolutely jacked. The entrance is fantastic and memorable. So, yeah. He, you could say somewhat of his career, portions of his career, a little overrated. But I think Triple H was one of the best workers and hardest workers, and he set the standard for the WWE. He definitely had.
All right, okay, let's go to the undisputed WWE Championship fight, like I said, between champion Cody Rhodes taking on Kevin Owens in a ladder match. Yeah, Joe, as much as I want to see chaos, I do think Cody retained titles. He's a minus 1,500. By the way, I got CM Punk plus 150, Charlotte Flair minus 142.
Oh, I didn't see odds at all. Yeah, what are my odds for Jey Uso?
Let me get it real quick.
You got to get before we jump to the championship.
Yeah. Who did you pick for the women's again?
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. She's 50-1.
Oh yeah.
And who did you say for the men?
Jey Uso.
Jey Uso.
Minus
66-1.
My God. So what are are there any favorites?
Yeah. So right now the favorite for the men, Cena is favorite. Then Seth Rollins.
At plus money still.
He's even money. Seth Rollins is at plus 125. I got CM Punk at plus 150.
So you're saying I don't have a shot with my picks with the odds they have posted? Oh my
Charlotte
God.
Flair is the favorite at minus 142. Bianca Belair is the second. Io Sky, then Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, hey,
take a shot.
I'm with you on the Cody Rhodes retaining. Yeah. Kevin Owens, you need a good heel. And like I said about his workmanship, he's just absolutely class when it comes to, making a story. And he did his part, and he's able to now resurrect the Winged Eagle belt. Cody Rhodes, that is because of Kevin Owens. Cody Rhodes couldn't have done it without KO, but we'll see what happens after this, the fallout of a Cody Rhodes win. If Kevin Owens is going to help him, not help him, it's going to hurt him in the future, trying to retain in future, events. So I think even though Kevin Owens will lose, I think he may cost Cody Rhodes something in the future. Something may stem from this loss.
Yeah, like I said, as much, I did want Kevin Owens to pull up the upset. It's a compelling twist to the story, but it'd be rough to see Owens lose 3 consecutive undisputed title matches. That's tough to see. But I think the WWE is committed to Rhodes as a champion, and I don't think they're gonna hurt him to lose and reclaim the title between now and WrestleMania. I just suspect the WWE is gonna take a safer route in keeping the title on him. So I'm gonna take Cody Rhodes. I know it's a homer pick, and I know it's the easier fight to say, but I am going to go Cody Rhodes here.
It is a little obvious, but like we said, we can't compliment Kevin Owens enough. He's done a fantastic job. Making it as believable as and putting the pressure on Cody Rhodes.
All right, third time's the charm. Let's do it. WWE Tag Team Championship DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns. 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yeah.
Kid, give me the champs here to retain DIY at minus 500 here. It's too soon to take the titles off of them. Kudos to the WWE for giving 2 world-class tag team sample times to show what they could do. I do expect the Motor City Machine Guns to look strong, but maybe be in a competitive fight, drop the last fall by a near pinfall. But I'm going to take the champs to retain their titles here at minus 500.
Yeah, I also have DIY. I think it was solidified when we had a full turn from Johnny Wrestling when he did the low blow to Satin or Shelly. I forgot which one of the Motor City Machine Guns he did it to, but that just confirmed because Ciampa was going full heel and losing his mind, and Johnny Wrestling was on the fence. But now we got a full heel DIY. I think they're going to be able to retain this championship up until WrestleMania. So a great rivalry between the two. Motor City Machine Guns proved their worth by, they made an instant impact winning the titles a week into their WWE tenure. So I think they're a great tag team. TNA, they've been around the game for a while. So the MCMG is nothing new when it comes to, the tag teams that they are. But I just think it's been a long time coming for Johnny Wrestling and Tommaso Ciampa. So yeah, they're going to retain. And I think they're going to be the tag team champions, the WWE tag team champions heading into WrestleMania.
Kid, thank you so much. We just gave you a ton of picks for this weekend. It's locked and loaded. Before we get you out of here, a few fights that were announced. King Green taking on Marcelio Ruffy.
Marcio Ruffy.
UFC 313, part of the Fighting Nerds, March 8th, UFC 313. You like this fight?
They like that group, man. I can tell the UFC brass likes the Fighting Nerds, that they're always ready to fight and willing to, and that they are winning their fights. So, yeah, big step up for Mauricio Ruffy. Gets the job done. He beats King Green.
Yeah,
he's ranked, right? Is he not?
He's a
ranked fighter. So.
UFC London, March 22nd. Kevin Holland is back in there in a welterweight bout against our boy, veteran Gunnar Nelson. Interesting fight.
One for the OGs, Gunnar Nelson coming back again out of nowhere. It's just like I feel bad for Kevin Holland because Gunnar Nelson's
downward.
Yeah, Gunnar Nelson's really good. Like I feel like this could be setting up for a Gunnar Nelson win, some sort of submission. Dude has some of the slickest submissions in UFC history. Gunnar Nelson does. Black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he's pretty, competent on the feet. You always worry about the Kevin Holland knockout with the way he can throw hands, but something's telling me I'm going to lean with Gunnar Nelson on his comeback.
Too.
Yeah, I'm going to just take Gunnar Nelson in his own backyard, sort of. Kevin Holland having to go enemy territory, being so inconsistent as he is. I hate to say that maybe Kevin Holland's just going in there to collect checks, but seems he's got his head focused elsewhere, trying to fight, Rampage Jackson, as we talked about last episode, rather than the opponent in front of him. So. Yeah, I got to go fade him for the time being.
Going from London down south to UFC Mexico, March 29th, we got a main event. Steve Erceg taking on Brandon Moreno, 5-round flyweight main event. They didn't give him who we thought, but Steve Erceg gets another big fight.
Yeah, but I'll be honest, this might be a title eliminator.
Really?
It might. Yeah, I mean,
not
Brandon
Steve Erceg. It can't be. It can't be, Joe.
Bro, I don't know, man. I mean, it's because of what we talked about with Pantoja. He's cleaned out the division, right? If Steve Erceg goes out there and finishes Brandon Moreno after what he just did to Amir Abazi, don't you think that does a lot for his stock? Don't you think that makes him look really good? They're thinking Amir Abazi was going to get the title shot. Boom, he has not on the level of the top 5. So I think Steve Erceg, how close he fought Pantoja, I think if he finishes Brandon Moreno, but I think Brandon Moreno, if he finishes Steve Erceg, I think either one of those guys get a title shot, to be honest.
Yeah, very interesting. Put me to thinking real quick. I think it could be a title limiter for Brandon Moreno, definitely. I didn't know about Steve Erceg, but if he knocks off Brandon Moreno on the road in Mexico,
yeah, dog, you give him that shot.
Yeah, you give him a shot.
Especially how close it was for Pantoja.
And then last one, UFC 314, April 12th. Jim fucking Miller taking on Chase Hooper. What a fight that is.
Yeah, man. Chase Hooper, the legend killer? What we got, bro? Randy Orton 2.0.
He took out our boy Clay Guida, and now he's going to try to take out Jersey Zone.
No, come on. What are we doing? But Jim Miller, he had no easy out.
No.
He look what he did to Weston Wilson, try to make a name on an OG, you get put to sleep. So Chase Hooper better be on his A game. Otherwise, Jim Miller may knock him out.
All right, kid. Like I said, we're going to end it in Mohegan Sun tomorrow evening in Connecticut, BKFC. What number is this for them?
Well, it's actually on the Zone. So it's their only
nice.
It's only the 4th time being on the Zone now that they signed that contract. So this is technically BKFC on the Zone 4 in the Mohegan Sun.
Nice. What do you got for us?
So I got a little 3-pack for you. Other fighters on the card, interesting to see. Jorgen De Castro and Parker Porter. Everyone knows and loves Parker Porter. They'll be taking on fellow former UFC alums Chase Gormley and Bobby Brents on the undercard. But got to go with fellow Italian man Rico Disculo at -360. He's taking on Anthony Foy at +285. Co-main event is Irish Brennan Ward, -400, taking on James Dennis at +360. And the main event, Let Me Bang Bro, Julian Lane is -200 and taking on very competent Cameron Van Camp at plus 160. So give me all the favorites for my 3-leg Irish Italian American parlay
I love
at
it.
plus 140. It's Rico, Irish Brennan Ward, and Julian Lane. So all the favorites and plus 140 ain't too bad for 3-legger, and that'll do
No.
it for 10 seconds left.
Not at all, Joe. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We gave you guys a ton of picks. UFC Saudi Arabia. We gave you boxing plays. Have some fun in the WWE if you got any offshore books that let you bet it. BKFC as well. It's over an hour. We're up out of here, Joe. Any last words before we get up out of here?
Good luck. God
God bless. And we will see you guys next week.